The following is a Comfortably Zoned Radio Network production.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Comfortably Zoned Radio Network. I'm Rob Denninger, and I'm here at Jack DeCrow. And as always, we're talking Yankees baseball. How you doing, Jack?
Good. How are you tonight, Robert?
Not too bad. Yankees play the Red Sox tonight, the final game of a 3-game series. They split the first two, and I think the Yankees got Clark Schmidt going tonight.
Well, he's pitched pretty well his last two times out. I mean, they really need him to step up, with Sevy struggling and Cortes on the disabled list. So hopefully he can have another good outing tonight.
Yeah, the Yankees, they're 5-5 in their last 10 games. They're still 10 games over 500, but Tampa's 27 games over 500, and not going to catch them anytime soon. But yeah, it'd be nice to get a win tonight.
Yeah, I mean, with Judge being out, it's just a whole different team. I mean, they've lost 3 games this week by 1 run, and I think, with his bat in the lineup, it just makes everybody better. I mean, Rizzo's struggling, and if you look at the lineup, a lot of guys are like 200 or less. So, he's really a terrific player. And when he's not there, how you appreciate how good he really is.
Yeah, I mean, Rizzo in his last 10 games is batting under 100. I mean, LeMahieu on the season is batting only 236. I mean, and Stanton's only been back for 6 games, but he hasn't done anything yet. He has got 1 home run. Donaldson's batting under 200 since he's gotten back, but he does have 4 home runs in his last 10 games. It's just they've been solo shots. They need the guys in their lineup to pick up the team with Judge being out.
Yeah, I mean, LeMahieu had the foot problem last year, and you just wonder if he's, if that's not a lingering effect, because he was a terrific hitter for his whole career in his first 2 years with the Yankees. And really, this is the 3rd year. He's not even anywhere near the hitter he was early in his career with the Yankees. He looks like a completely different hitter.
It's like last year. I think he struck out 13% of the time. This year, it's double that, and he's striking out 26% of the time. So I mean, he doesn't seem like he's the same player he was just a couple of years ago. No, I mean, with the foot issue, and I mean, even with Judge, you don't know if the toe's broken or not. And there was something interesting I read, when San Diego was in a couple of weeks ago with Matt Carpenter, and they were talking to Matt Carpenter. He came back in the playoffs last year, and he said, I wasn't really ready to come back. My foot hasn't healed. And he said it wasn't until, he was able to rehab his foot over the winter. He said it wasn't until almost spring training, he was at 100%. So, when you have injuries with your toes and your ankles, it takes a long time to heal. Yeah, and having Judge out of the lineup hurts. I mean, he was basically having an MVP type of season, yet again, batting .291, leading the team in home runs. It's just having him out really does change the lineup. Yeah, I mean, they said the swelling in the toe went down, and it doesn't look like it's broken. Hopefully it's not broken. But if it's broken, it could, how it could affect the rest of his career. I mean, he might be out the rest of the season if it was broken. Yeah, and that wouldn't be good. And, on the pitching front, I mean, Severino, his first 2 games back, he only gave up 2 earned runs, and now in his last 2 outings, he's given up 11 earned runs. And I was watching him in the last game. His fastball to start the games was 97, 98, but then a couple innings later, it's down to around 95, 96. And you wonder if maybe he's pitching with a little bit of a dead arm. Yeah, that could be the case. I mean, if you look at it, he really hasn't gotten too many innings the last, 4 years or so. Yeah. And I think he's going to be a free agent this offseason, and I really don't know if the Yankees – I think he'd want to stay with the Yankees, but
What are you going to offer who hasn't really been, pitched that much?
I mean, for a guy who has an injury history like he does, I could see someone like him being a good closer. I mean, John Smoltz was able to, become a Hall of Fame closer, but I think Severino would be best suited as a closer, or coming out of the bullpen.
Yeah, I think, as a closer, he could get by with 2 pitches.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, it wouldn't put so much strain on his elbow and his shoulder and stuff. He could probably get away with, 2 pitches. I mean, did you see Robert Jacob deGrom again?
Oh, my God, yeah. Tommy John surgery. He'll be lucky if he's back next year. He might be out until the end of next year. I mean, it's unbelievable. I think he averaged something like 12 starts this season with the Mets because of injuries, and here it goes again. The Mets are probably thanking the lucky stars they didn't sign him.
Yeah, he got 6 starts this year with the Rangers, and I think the last game he pitched with them, he got 11 strikeouts in 6 or 7 innings, but the guy didn't stay healthy. Thank God the Yankees didn't go after him.
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt the guy's talented, but he just can't stay healthy. And I wonder if it has something to do with how hard these guys are throwing nowadays. I mean, these guys are throwing, they're trying to throw as hard as they possibly can on every pitch. It's like the art of pitching's gone, and now it's just power pitching. Teams just want guys with power, who could throw 100 miles an hour.
Yeah, I think, they're just encouraged to throw as hard as they can, as long as they can. And in the major leagues, all the guys now can hit home runs.
Yeah.
And, years ago, after the middle of the lineup, you had the guys at the top of the order, they'd be table setters, and the last 3 guys, was the shortstop or the catcher or the pitcher. So, you could get away with making a mistake, and they weren't going to hit it out of the park. Now these guys, everybody swings for the heels, and, everybody can hit home runs.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's one of the reasons the Yankees traded Jordan Montgomery was he wasn't a power pitcher. He was a guy who relied on, working the plate. And I think the Yankees prefer power pitchers with power arms, and those guys seem to get hurt.
Yeah, and that's the kind of guys you need in the playoffs. You need you need the power pitchers.
Yeah,
like you can get strikeouts, and that's just the way it is now. I mean, I think it's going to come to a point where you might see your starters only go 3 or 4 innings. Yeah.
And the Yankees right now got the best bullpen in baseball, but Cortes is hurt. Rodon's still out. Severino doesn't seem to be on his game. I mean, right now the Yankees got Cole and Herman, who's been pitching well of late. After those 2 guys, I mean, you got to worry about the other starters giving the Yankees at least 5 innings.
Yeah, I mean, the Yankees have been bringing up a lot of pitchers from the minor leagues, and you just wonder how long they can hold out. They're throwing innings. And, that's bound to catch up with you. I mean, the Yankees got like 6 or 7 guys coming out of the bullpen who's pitched close to 30-plus innings. And, they're not even halfway through the season, not even close.
No, and that's what kind of happened to him last year was the injuries. And the bullpen wound up getting burned out in the second half, and it was lucky the Yankees went on such a run in the first half because the second half, with all the injuries and the bullpen they had a horrible August. I hate to see that happen again this year.
I did hear like Carlos Rodon, he pitched a simulated game. He pitched the game the other day when they had to cancel because you can talk about all the smoke going on up there, but he threw a couple innings that day.
Yeah, apparently today he was throwing some live batting practice, and then he drilled Willie Calhoun in the elbow. And Calhoun says he's 100% okay, and I think he's in the lineup tonight. But Rodon was also throwing live batting practice today. So hopefully we'll see him soon. barring a setback.
How was it, Robert, up there? With I'm in Florida here, but what was it like when it was all that smoke and everything? Was it as bad as it sounded?
Oh yeah. Yeah, it was, I mean, I forget what day it was. I came out of work, and it was just an orange haze outside. And I'm driving home at 4 or 5 o'clock, and I had to have my headlights on because it was so thick. It was unreal, and it was like that for 2 days where it was just so thick that, so it was it was something. I never seen anything like it. I mean, it was crazy.
So it was like a haze? An orange haze?
An orange haze, and the air quality at one point was 274, which is extremely hazardous. And I think at New York at one point it was over 300, which is dangerously hazardous.
I did see a picture of the Yankee Stadium, and it was like orange.
Yeah.
It was I mean, about 15 years ago down here in Tampa, they had fires around, and they had to cancel a couple of Yankee games, minor league games, because of smoke. But this was smoke. This wasn't haze or anything. I just couldn't imagine. The haze.
I mean, it's to think, Canada's forest fire. I mean, it seems like the whole country is on fire for it to reach all the way down here. I mean, it must be. They said it's like 1 million acres or something like that that's on fire, and it could be. We could have a smoky haze. They said all summer, because I guess the fire up there, it's very remote. It's hard for the firefighters to get in there because it's so remote. And the only, I guess, option really for them is to let it burn itself out. So they said the whole summer could be, hazy due to the smoke.
But Robert, I mean, they never report it. Where is it located? Where is it coming from? Where is the picture? You get no information.
Yeah, I know. I think I heard Nova Scotia or something. I mean, I haven't really watched the news that much, but when I haven't seen any pictures or footage of this fire. So I mean, it's a little weird. You think something that bad would be covered, but I haven't seen it on TV that much or at all, actually.
Yeah, I think with the air being bad, it might be. It sounds like it could be a big story.
Yeah. I mean, I work with the window for the post office, and I had one customer telling me she thinks the Chinese started the fire. I'm like, well, you never know. So it's just crazy. I mean, because apparently this fire is extremely bad. I mean, something like 1 million acres of forest is on fire.
Wow.
Yeah.
I know down here this week in Tampa, Robert, I know we're getting away from baseball and stuff, or I'm getting away. The water the water is terrible down here.
Really?
Yeah, they were telling people to boil their water for the last 2 or 3 days. And I'm like a horse. I never get sick or nothing. But even I could taste it and feel it. So, you wonder what's going on with everything.
Yeah. Well, that's like even the other day at work, one of my coworkers is like, how's your throat? And I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, your voice, it sounds hoarse. And it could be from the smoke, I don't know. But a lot of people are, complaining of cough, dry cough they can't get rid of. I wonder if it has something to do with the smoke in the air the last week.
Well, I know the last 3 or 4 days with the water and stuff, I've been coughing and stuff. So you wonder what's going on with everything.
Yeah. I wonder what the game will be like tonight. I mean, you could see it's bright outside, but there's a haze to the air. It's not a blue sky like it should be.
Yeah, I remember going to the old Yankee Stadium when they had the night games. They used to allow people to smoke.
Yeah.
and you look up, and there was always a haze above the stadium from all the cigarette and the cigar smoke.
Yeah. This guy sent me a footage of when Tom Selleck played spring training with the Detroit Tigers. Do you remember that?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, he sent me footage of him at bat, and he fouled one pitch off. He fouled a couple pitches off. He had a bad swing, but I mean, I thought it was impressive that he was able to foul a couple pitches off before getting struck out on a changeup. But I completely forgot that Tom Selleck played spring training with the Detroit Tigers back in the 80s.
Okay, the Tigers train in Lakeland, and they've been over there forever. And I remember, I remember the first year I come down there, Robert. I went over to Lakeland, and I never seen so many old people in all my life. I mean, I think the average age at the Tiger games was deceased because I mean, you look in the stadium, and it's like some of these people. I thought it was Ty Cobb, for God's sakes, but Tom Selleck played in a movie. He played with the Yankees, and then he went over to Japan to play.
Oh, so Mr. Baseball.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, but I thought that was cool. I know Tom Selleck played spring training with the Tigers. Garth Brooks one year played spring training with the Mets, and actually wasn't that bad. I mean, considering, he's a country singer, he was actually pretty decent. You could tell he had some skills.
Yeah, they had, who was it? Was it, he made the movie Marison Mantle.
Oh, that little guy, what's his name? Billy Crystal.
Billy Crystal, yeah, he was down here with the Yankees for one spring training, and he got an at bat in a exhibition game. And that was a ground ball. Yeah, he hit a foul ball, ground ball. So
it must be nice to be famous. You get to live out your dreams, at least for a day or so. Jesus.
Robert, I was lucky. I took batting practice on the field once at Legends Field down here.
No kidding.
And
that's cool.
They only threw from it was a pitching machine, but they threw 12 pitches. I hit them all, and I had like 3 line drives. That would have been base hits. But it was nice being on the field. It was just like it was really a big thrill.
Oh man, that'd be cool.
Yeah, it was very.
I haven't swung a bat in 25, 30 years. I don't think I could hit anything right now. Yeah. And I'm looking at the Yankees pitching. Like I said, tonight Schmidt's going, but we start a 2-game series. The Mets start Tuesday, and Max Scherzer. We're going to see Scherzer and Verlander. Severino's pitching game 2, but they haven't announced who's going to start. I think against Scherzer.
Yeah, it might be that new kid, Vasquez.
Oh, okay. He looked good in his last outing.
Yeah, I know the Mets have had some injuries. Peter Alonso and Verlander's been getting knocked around a little bit too with the Mets.
Verlander's got an ERA up around almost 5. Scherzer, I think, had 11 strikeouts in his last game, but the Mets, they lost again today to the Pirates 2-1. They just can't seem to score runs, and their pitching's just been getting lit up lately. So, this should be an interesting series with the Yankees because the Yankees, it's hard for the Yankees to come by runs. Mets can't, put runs together, but their pitching gives up. It should be an interesting series. Maybe the Yankees can get healthy against the Mets, or maybe the Mets will get healthy against the Yankees. It'll be interesting. But after Boston, we got 2 at the Mets, and then we got 3 more at Boston, and then we have Seattle at home, followed by Texas, and then we go on the road to Oakland for 3, St. Louis for 3, and then 4 with Baltimore, and then 3 with the Cubs, and that brings us to the All-Star break.
Well, hopefully they can, at least play a little, 500 ball a little better and stuff. And it's always fun,
I don't know if they go out to Wrigley Field, and the Cardinals have a great tradition. That's those games are always fun. And anytime you play the Red Sox and the Mets, so there's some good matchups coming.
Yeah, it's like we're at St. Louis, but we have the Cubs are coming to Yankee Stadium. I would have liked to have gone to Chicago. I mean, Wrigley Field is one of the oldest fields left in the major leagues. It would have been nice to have gone and have the Yankees play there.
Yeah, they've played it out there a couple times. It's it's Wrigley Field and Fenway Park, and that's it. And one of the things a lot of the fans, me included, you wish it could have kept the original Yankee Stadium.
Yeah.
Why they couldn't make it a national landmark or something is because in 74 and 75, the Yankees played in Shea. And they remodeled it so much, so technically it wasn't, the original. So
I love that. That stadium was great. I mean, you walk into on the third base side and you see that wall of seats out in right field, and you felt like you're right on top of the field. And the new stadium, you just don't have that feeling anymore, being right on top of the field.
No, it's just a shame they couldn't have kept it. I mean, even if you just have high school teams playing there, or in college, or just make it a national park, just keep the original place where it was.
Yeah, I mean, some of the greatest. Some of the greatest players to ever play, Ruth, Garrick, DiMaggio. I mean, they played on that field, and now it's gone. Yeah,
and it was one of the. People didn't even like baseball. When they went to New York, you wanted to visit Yankee Stadium. It was like, one of the treasures of the world.
Yeah. I mean, you got Fenway, like you said, you got Fenway and Wrigley left, but it was Yankee Stadium, Fenway and Wrigley.
Yeah.
But until we find out more about Aaron Judge, guys like Rizzo, LeMahieu, Donaldson, and especially Stanton gotta carry this team. I mean, Stanton, when he gets hot, can carry any team, but like you said, he's a power hitter, and it takes a while for those guys to get back into the groove of things.
One of the things I've heard some people say, Stanton looks like he's gotten bigger.
Yeah, he's already big too.
I mean, he's huge, but they said maybe he's gotten bigger. So I don't know what's going on. I mean, there's even been talk. Some of the fans are down on Volpe, and on sports radio up here, there's a lot of people calling for the Yankees to send him back down to AAA to get his confidence back. But, one radio host made a good point. The Yankees, this is his AAA season, and it's in the majors. You're watching a young kid develop in front of your eyes. There's no reason to send him back down now. You brought him up. You knew he's going to have bumps in the road. He's got to develop. So there's no point in sending him back down now. No, I mean, he's on pace. He'll have like 22 homers, 65, 70 RBIs, and like 35, 40 steals. He fields his position well. And, hitting at the bottom of the lineup, he's giving you what what you could expect.
I mean, he's fourth on the team in home runs, and he's got 9. Torres and Rizzo got 11, and they're second and third. The only guy who has Judge has 19, but other than Judge, Rizzo and Torres has 11, followed by Volpe with 9. So Volpe's right there among the other players in the team leading home run category.
And plus, the Yankees have veterans, who can help the kid along. Rizzo, and they got LeMahieu, and they got Judge, and Boone's been around baseball forever, and the family, they've been around baseball for 50 years, so. He's got people he can go to, and they can, help him get through.
I mean, It's like Stanton's only played 19 games, but he's only batting 236. Donaldson's only played 12 games, but he's batting 154. LeMahieu's played 57 games and is only batting 236. You know, and so, I mean, the guys who should be hitting aren't hitting, so everyone's picking apart, you know, the rookie. All eyes are on him, but these other guys need to start hitting, these veterans, you know, the guys that the Yankees are paying big money to.
Yeah, well, I think another thing, like you look at guys like Jake Bowers and Willie Calhoun, they've got some big hits for the Yankees this year, and, Frankie Cordero, he's got some big hits. Connor Follett has picked it up a little bit. Higashiota's got his average up to about 240. So, they've come alive a little bit, but they still need.
Yeah, and Billy McKinney, he's in 4 games has got like a couple extra base hits, a home run, a double. So he's contributed a little bit.
Yeah, he's bounced around a little. I mean, he came over with, when they had Clint Frazier. And,
that's right.
Clint was supposed to be, looked like he was going to be an outstanding big league player. And Billy McKinney, he'll be a major league player, a 4th or 5th outfielder. And, Clint's had a lot of injuries, a lot of tough luck. And Billy McKinney's got like 5-6 years in the big league being a 4th or 5th outfielder. So, whose career's panned out better?
Yeah. And another ex-Yankee we were talking about off air, Gary Sanchez with San Diego in 10 games has 5 home runs and has now become San Diego's #1 catcher.
Well, I believe over the last 5 or 6 seasons, he's hit the most home runs of any major league catcher. So I was a little surprised nobody picked him up in the off season. I mean, catchers usually don't hit too much, and he still had 15 homers and 61 RBIs last year. So it's good to see him take advantage of his opportunity. I know he's with the Giants and the Mets, so the Padres gave him a shot. He's taken a big advantage of.
Yeah, and the last few years, Yu Darvish has had a personal catcher. His last name was, I forget his name, but he had a personal catcher. And in Darvish's last outing, he got rocked for 7 runs or something like that. So Gary Sanchez called him in his last start, and he pitched 7 shutout innings. So that's I think when the Padres decided to make Sanchez the #1 catcher, plus the fact he hit 5 home runs in 10 games didn't hurt either.
Well, I know when Sanchez was with the Mets, he only caught a couple of games. He caught Matt Scherzer, and Scherzer was raving about the job he did, behind the plate. So, Gary, maybe he's picked it up defensively. The relationship between a pitcher and catcher, in baseball means everything. So,
I hope it works out for him. I mean, because when he came up, he just exploded onto the scene. I mean, even if he's half the player he was, he's still a hell of an offensive threat.
Yeah. Well, hopefully, he didn't perform well in New York the last couple of years, but the way the fans were on him, I mean, that's kind of ridiculous too. But hopefully he can just step it up and have a good career.
Yeah. And a team that surprised me this year is Baltimore. They're 40-24. They're 5.5 games back of Tampa. I thought the Blue Jays would be the team that would be the surprise team in the East, but it's been Baltimore this year.
Yeah, they come on last year. They were over 500 for the first time in a long time, and they, you thought they'd be good, but you didn't think they would be this good. So, it's good that Baltimore's a good baseball city. It brings back the days of Boog Powell and Frank and Brooks Robinson. So I hope the Orioles can keep it up. I always liked the Baltimore Orioles.
Yeah, I mean, not that Toronto's having a bad season. I mean, they're over 500. It's just, I didn't see Baltimore being this good this quick.
No, I didn't see that either. I thought Toronto would be, an up-and-coming team for years. You could see it coming, but they got in the playoffs last year, and they haven't really, performed up to expectations. I don't know. Maybe we'll see Mattingly as a manager if it continues.
Yeah.
But,
yeah, because Donnie got offered a number of jobs, I guess, this offseason, and he turned them down, and he took a meeting with Toronto, and for some reason he accepted the bench coach job, even though he turned down jobs to manage other teams. So I wonder if there was a kind of agreement if Toronto struggles, you become manager, so it'd be interesting to keep an eye on. But Toronto's not having a bad year. They're, like I said, they're over 500. It's just, Tampa's 27 games over 500.
Yeah, well, everybody in the Yankees division is doing well.
Yeah.
They really got the toughest division. The worst record is the Red Sox, and they're 500. So
yeah. That's like I was looking at the standings before. The Central's the worst division, I think, in the American League. The Twins are in first place, and they're only a game above 500. Everyone else in the division's below 500.
Yeah, there's always one division that struggles a little bit, and I remember, Robert, just jumping around when the Mets got in the World Series in '73. I think their record was like 82 and 79. So you just don't know.
Yeah. And on June 7th is Thurman Munson's birthday.
Yeah, I seen people posted that, you posted it and stuff, and it brought back a lot of memories because people remember what a great player Thurman was, and he's gone too soon. Yeah.
It's like, how old would he have been? He would have been, he was born in 47, so what? He would have been like 77, something like that?
Yeah. 47 was he? Oh, is he 53? Yeah. Oh.
Yeah.
Boy, the years fly by. It's like he's been gone longer than he was alive.
Yeah.
And I remember like maybe 8-10 years ago, Mrs. Munson said that, he only lived 32 years and he's been gone 33. It's just amazing how, time flies.
Oh, yeah, and there was an article the other day about the Yankees. They're looking at that guy, Liam Hendricks. I think that's his name, for the White Sox, the closer. It's a guy that they could have interest at during the trade deadline.
Well, I think you're going to see him go after, you never have enough pitching, and you don't want him to, defeat the bullpen because, you're going to overwork those guys. So I think that's a possibility. The White Sox have really underachieved this year. So, they're struggling. You look at their players, and they'll be available in a month or so.
I wouldn't mind getting a closer, but I think we also need to add another bat to the lineup, whether it's in the left field or somewhere else. But I think, especially if Judge is going to be healthy and come back at some point, I think we could use another bat in the lineup. Yeah,
Yankees do need more hitting because nobody can stay healthy.
Yeah,
like there's nobody you can count on.
It's crazy, the injuries, but our major problem in the playoffs is we can't hit. We just can't seem to hit in the playoffs.
Well, the big thing in the playoff, I heard an interview with Boone last year, and I got to admit, he said they hit the playoffs, but they don't hit in the championship series.
Yeah, that's true.
He does make a point there. Usually before they get to the championship series, they hit. They scored runs against Cleveland last year. But they get in against the Astros or the Red Sox, and they just don't score no runs.
Yeah.
Power pitching. That's it. The Astros have the power pitching.
Yeah. And the Astros, I think the Astros are in second place in their division this year. Yeah, they're 5 games behind the Rangers, but the Rangers just lost DeGrom for the whole year. I think all the money that Texas has sunk into players is finally paying off for them this year.
Yeah, it's you invest that money in somebody who's been injury prone their whole career, and
yeah,
that's not a good investment.
No. And Tampa just keeps surprising me. And every year they lose players, and every year they just get better and better every year, Tampa Bay. It's unbelievable. Meanwhile, the Yankees got a huge payroll. Jesus.
Yeah, well, Tampa does what they have to do. They don't have that big payroll, and they have to, out of all the analytics and all the scouting, they do it better than anybody. The Rays just do it better than everybody. But, with the Yankees payroll, they always have good teams. They always get to the playoffs, and, we'll see what happens this year.
I heard something yesterday. The Mets pay more in taxes. Because they're so far over the luxury tax that they pay something like $111 million in taxes. And that's more money than the Marlins and Pirates payroll combined. And the Pirates are in first place in the Central, and the Marlins are second place in the East and ahead of the Mets. And their payroll is less than what the Mets pay in taxes, luxury taxes.
Jeez, I didn't know that. Well, the only thing to say, Robert, I mean, they've only played, maybe 40% of the season.
Yeah,
so let's
true.
Let's see where the Pirates are in late July and the Marlins are in late July, early August, and where the Mets are. That'll give us a better idea. But right now, the Mets have had some bad luck, and they really haven't played well at all.
No, it's like the Mets. They were 2-8 in their last 10 games prior to losing today. So I mean, the Mets, like I said, that 2-game series, the Yankees. It'd be interesting to see.
Well,
we're
it's
getting
always
their
fun.
2 best pitchers.
Yeah, I remember when they had the first series. I don't know, 97. I remember going to the third game. It was the first time the Yankees and the Mets played the series, and I remember sitting in left field at Yankee Stadium, like 500-some feet away, and the Yankees won the game 3-2 in 10 innings. David Cone balked in the run the ninth inning. The Mets tie, and then Tino got a single in the 10th to win. It was a great atmosphere. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah. I wish I could have gone to the World Series when the Mets and Yankees were, Subway Series, because that was the year that I think Roger Clemens beamed Mike Piazza in the head, and then in the playoffs of the World Series, Mike Piazza his bat broke, and Clemens kind of threw it at him. I loved it back then. Yankees were a gritty, tough fighting team.
Yeah, that was a tough series. I mean, it was only 5 games, but it was like, the Mets had a guy on first, and the ball hit the top of the left field fence, and he got thrown out the plate because he hesitated for a second.
Yeah.
Vizcaino got the big hit in the 11th inning to win the game. There was a lot of one-run games in that series. That was a nerve-wracking series. That was a tough series.
Yeah. It's like Bobby Valentine he was a good manager. He was actually a really good manager for the Mets.
Yeah, when both teams are doing well in the city, it's it's a tremendous atmosphere. You wish it could happen again.
Yeah, and we got our schedule's not that tough going forward, but like we were saying earlier, we need our big bats that are in the lineup to start hitting to help carry this team like Judge is out, because the Yankees, they keep the injuries secret, and you don't know how long a player is going to be out for. So, Judge, he could be out for another week, or he could be out for another 3-4 months. You don't know. So I need the guys to start hitting.
Yeah, you never know, Robert. Let me tell a little story.
Yeah, please.
I was looking through some old ticket stubs the other day, and I seen this ticket I had from June 5th, 1971. It was Ball Day, and I went on from Netcon Sports Club. We went on a bus trip, but anyway, we got to the stadium, and out in right field, they used to have a telephonic Hall of Fame, and it'd be Mantle, DiMaggio, Ruth, Gehrig, Early Combs, the Scooter, Yogi, and you would pick up the phone and you would listen to the players, a great moment in their career, listen to them talk. And I remember my friend Louie, who pitched in the minor leagues with the Giants, picked up Lou Gehrig. He was doing his speech, and somebody put mustard on the phone.
No kidding.
And he put it up to his ear, and it was the old ballpark mustard, so it was, thick.
Yeah.
It got caked in his ear.
Oh, my God.
And I just remember sitting there, we had all these napkins, and it took a while to get that mustard out of the ear.
Holy shit. Yeah, well, when they put the mustard on the hot dogs, they're not shy about it.
No. So somebody had put the mustard, and they had that telephonic Hall of Fame, I don't know, for 2 or 3 years, and I think they eventually got rid of it. It was located as you were walking down the right field line because, the phones were always broken, and, they were putting mustard and ketchup on it or something. But so that's something that just came to my mind when I seen that ticket stuff.
That's like when Lou Gehrig retired and gave that speech about being the luckiest man in the world. I loved Mickey Mantle's retirement speech because I think he said something like he often wondered how a man who knew he was dying could consider himself the luckiest man in the world. And he's like, but now I know. I thought that was one of the coolest things Mantle ever said in his retirement speech at Yankee Stadium. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, that was I think June 8th, 1969, and you can still see that on YouTube.
Yeah.
If anybody gets a chance, take a look at it. It's like maybe 40 minutes long, and all the Yankee greats come back, and it's really it's really worth watching. It's it's tremendous.
Yeah, because Lou Gehrig, when he gave his speech, he said, I've been dealt a tough break in life, or something to that effect, and he says, but today I consider myself the luckiest man in the world. And that's why Mantle, he said he often wondered how a man who knew he was dying could consider himself the luckiest man in the world. He goes, but now I know. And he was referring to the Yankee fans about how, great the fans are in New York. And I know they can be tough on players, but they also, if you're a great player and you do right by them, they love you for life.
Oh, yeah. And, it was a great thrill, get a chance to see Mickey play and hit home runs. It's something I'll never forget. And, anybody's lucky enough to see him play, they'll just never forget it.
Yeah. That's like Don Mattingly is one of the most beloved Yankees, and he never won a title. I mean, he had those great years, but even those last 5 years when he struggled, he never made an excuse. He never, and everyone knew he was working hard and trying hard. And Yankee fans, that's all they really want is someone who's, players who are committed to winning. That's all they want.
Yeah, if you give 100% and, they'll produce, you'll be a legend in New York forever. They'll never forget you.
Yeah. And that's one of the things that's bothered me, in recent years with the Yankees. You don't see a lot of emotion out of these guys when they're going through tough streaks, like you used to see Paul O'Neill, beat up a water cooler, or if a guy got hit, you might charge them. You don't see any real, fire and emotion from these group of Yankees, at least not the last 4 or 5 years,
No, it's just seemed that it's like it's boring. You don't see like And I think the thing is, Robert, when you have players, you cheer for the laundry now. The players on the team, they come from somewhere else, and it's like if you have a guy on your team for 5 years, it's a long time. And, years ago, man, I'd play with the same team 8, 10, 12 years, and now it's like, well, if I don't play here, I'll go to Boston, or I'll go to Chicago, or I'll go to Cal. So it's a whole different game.
Yeah, and it seems like analytics. Baseball has just been taken over by analytics. That there's just no emotion in the game. There's just no spark to it anymore. It's all numbers.
No, I mean it's still a great game, but it's hard to follow a team when they change so many players, year after year. It's not the same.
I know we haven't spoken in a couple of weeks, but try to go again next Sunday. The Yankees, last 10 games at 5-5. Hopefully next Sunday they'll be playing Boston again. So when we talk, they all have played the Mets in Boston again, and so hopefully out of those 5 games, they win at least 3 of them. Got to stay at least 500 or a couple of games above it, especially while Judge is out.
Well, it's always a pleasure, Robert. You never know what's going to happen with the Yankees. A week ago, everything would have been, super rosy. Then everybody gets hurt again. So you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah, and Bader, they said, could be back in a week, or he could be back in 2 weeks. Greg Allen, they said, with the hip flexor, he's out for 6 to 8 weeks. I don't know if there's a real timetable on Nestor Cortes. So hopefully no one gets hurt from now until the next time we talk, because I don't think the Yankees can handle any more injuries.
No, it's a mass unit, so we'll have to see, Robert. And I look forward to talking to you soon.
Yeah, and like I said, tonight the Yankees play on ESPN. I think they start at 7 o'clock. They got Clark Schmidt going.
Well, hopefully they'll pitch a good game, and Yankees get a win.
Yep. Okay. Until next Sunday, we'll talk to you all then.
Take care.
The proceeding has been a Comfortably Zoned network production. You are advised to keep your dreams wet, your humor dry, your children and grandchildren out of military recruiting offices and off the laps of clerics who wear dresses. Thank you for listening, everyone. Happy trails.